killer is Jason!
What?
You're like 45 and you still go to summer camp.
Yeah! I'm only 24!
Before I even start to talk about the making of the movie, there was one question that crossed my mind last night that I didn't get to ask. And I feel like you guys have the appreciation for horror to give me some really good answers here. So no pressure. But if you could jump into the horror movie of your choice just to play one specific scene as an actor, what movie would you choose and why?
Oh,
I know. I want to be for one scene, I want to be the bartender in The Shining.
That's great.
It would be so fun to be in that one scene.
Oh man, that's a great answer. Maybe, honestly, I feel like it'd be fun to be in like a Final Destination movie who's got like a crazy chain reaction kill. You know? Like a crazy, like a booby trap, insane. That would be fun.
That's great.
I'd like to be in The Thing when they're doing the blood tests. I think that'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
My instincts were spot on. You all three just absolutely nailed that question. All right, so to start getting into the making of Hell of a Summer now, one thing I was doing to prep for this was revisiting a lot of your TIFF interviews. And Finn, something you had said really stood out to me. You mentioned that your number one conversation was how annoying it is to see new teen movies and how badly our age group is represented. I was wondering, can you give me some examples of that? Things that you have seen in movies that, maybe don't sit quite right with you, and tell me how you went about better representing your age group in Hell of a Summer.
I think there's like a common misconception with older filmmakers who are making movies about young people that I think they're so insecure and like convinced that there's a huge generational divide and that they've already like failed from the jump, that they're like, how are we even gonna market? I want to write a movie about teenagers, but how are we even gonna market it in the first place? They're so different than us. And it's like, well, you're failing. Now you're like putting yourself down as like, now you're being more out of touch as a writer because you are already setting yourself up to think that there's this huge, this gap between like what people think is funny. And like, I feel like there's obviously things that our age group thinks is funny compared to like our parents, like there's specific jokes that, baby boomers love that like we don't get as much, but it's not like they're completely different creatures or species. Like the whole thing about movies is that they should be universal and everyone should be able to watch them. And I think it's important to be able to split the difference and like try to talk to the generation that it's coming up for, and at the same time try to make something timeless that any age group can watch, because what's the fun in that? Then it's not timeless. Then you have this movie that it's like ages badly and you can only watch it that year. Yeah. So
the flip side of that, the movie that I think did it better, it was 8th Grade. Which is just like, or you just make the perfect movie.
Exactly.
Shout out to Fred.
It's true.
And it's like, that's a movie that because it's so specific
100%.
and because it feels like a moment in time, I think that's a movie that's going to hold up so well because it's like a time capsule. But the idea of like chasing trends and trying to stay on top of it and using slang.
Yeah, using slang, because slang also, that goes in like,
especially like internet slang, it's very tough to. By the time the movie comes out, everything's going to be so dated anyway. So like, don't try so hard to chase what's happening like right now.
Also, I think that there's a. Oh, sorry.
No. I was going to say, like, as a lover of movies, and you feel it when movies looking down on its audience.
Yeah.
Like, pandering is like one of the quickest things to spot, and it's like any interaction. It's you want mutual respect, and I feel like a movie should do that with its audience as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of specificity kind of went away with teen movies, where like these characters have their own little weird idiosyncrasies or biases or whatever, and it just felt like every teen movie, or a lot of teen movies that have come out, I feel like, that are like whatever bigger budget or whatever, are just like, you're just watching like a version of a character you've seen a billion times. And I feel like what was great about like so many teen movies that like we grew up watching in the like 90s and 80s and like even the early 2000s, it's like the end, like 8th Grade's an amazing example of a movie that like somehow is contemporary and like is about being on social media, but that's like, it's in service of the character, it's in service of the movie, and also every character is so weird. Like, so weird. They all have, like, odd, dark stuff going on, and like really specific, you know, like the Jake Ryan character is like so specific, and it's just like really important to treat them and really care about them like they're real people. Really, that's what it is. That's a long-winded answer, but
That's what it comes down to. I also loved how you start at the beginning, not necessarily by pinpointing things not to do, but by essentially saying like, chill out, there isn't a divide, and we're all here to enjoy movies and stories together, which is the greatest thing ever. Fred, talking about Jason here a little bit. So one of my absolute favorite questions to ask is when an actor has an aha moment with a character, but in particular in a movie like this, where tone is so important and your character has so many layers to him, was there anything you did either in prep or on set that made you feel like, I have just found who Jason needs to be now?
I mean, I do think the great experience of filming is you hope you can constantly find new aha moments, and as soon as you think you know who you're playing, other stuff comes up that more specifies or makes that jagged in a new way. But a couple things come to mind. I mean, early on, I remember our pre-production process in terms of costume. It was really specific. I mean, most of the characters are wearing the same thing for the entire movie, so what they wear really matters. You know, it has to kind of contain and show them in a specific and eccentric way. And I remember we found the Vans, this special collab Vans shoes that he wears in the movie. It's this light purple shade. And when we first found them, there was only one of them in Toronto, which is where we were prepping the movie. And we had to kind of just like take this leap of faith and use those and wait for the doubles to come later, because we knew like the shoes were too right to not use them out of some cautiousness. And then the second thing that comes to mind is during production, Abby Quinn, who plays Claire, is just like a complete genius artist and actor. And one of the early scenes we did was this walk and talk that's between Jason and Claire. And like we thought a lot about that scene and cared about that scene, but the day that we filmed it was just really, really special. And I remember diving in with Abby on camera for the first time in that way. Really, you forget the things you're thinking about and you just feel like you're in the movie. And acting with her really felt like that.
That's the best feeling in the world. To build on the idea of, I guess, the shoes and like little details, can you guys tell me a little bit about picking the right mask for your killer?
Yeah. I mean, also another thing, I remember to just like quickly say something about Fred's like costume. I remember thinking like the conversation that we had was like talking about basically the character of Jason. Like, how do we make him be how do we make his costume be and his props be the most helpful they can be?
Yeah.
Like, how can he have the most, like, we looked at things best with as many pockets as possible, so, like, his character can, put things and gadgets into it, and gave him a calculator watch so that if someone needed, an equation or keys strapped to his thing just so that he always had them handy. So it's like, how do we make this character literally, like, just feel like the most helpful person he wants to be the most helpful person.
Like he has little breath mints in his pocket that you actually never see because there's a part of the movie that we cut out. But the fact that you can hear the mints in his pocket coming up and down is like such a nice little detail for me, that Jason has these things with him at all times. And to speak to the mask thing and everything else we talked about, it's also the first day of camp, so it's how everybody's showing up to present themselves as, I haven't seen you in a year, this is what I'm wearing. And really the mask was kind of the same idea, is this idea of the killer making a statement, being like, I'm picking this mask because I think that it will evoke this emotion, or it will feel iconic. It's like them, it's coming from a world of the killer wanting to feel good and look good and feel cool. And then it just so happens that like we also wanted it to look like a cool devil mask. So it was like a tough thing to be like, how do we make it feel homemade enough and real enough, and original enough, but then also how do we make it feel kind of classic enough and like iconic enough with that sort of the symbol of the devil.
The aspirational thing also to me is a big part of the movie, because it's like everyone dresses up wanting to be these perfect versions of themselves, and then immediately when the horrifying acts start happening, it's like not only do the costumes get worn down, but like their personalities really come to light. So that felt important too, and it was really practical. Like all of the stuff that Jason was wearing. I remember there's a scene in the middle where he blows on a whistle, and I was able to like hide that perfectly in one of my many pockets. So it was a treat in that way.
Feel like you're building a roadmap for people to dress up as Jason, the other Jason now for Halloween.
I hope
this year.
so.
That's like literally a
We hope
dream,
so.
and that's sort of a big part of it. We were like, how can we want every character to be able to be drawn from memory, and it's like a dream of ours to have people dress up as Jason, but also the killer. Really, the entire ensemble, everybody has a sort of unique look. We gave them each something that is, I think, very distinct.
Truly great success in that respect. As you said that, I feel like I can picture the broad strokes of every single character you all crafted. I'm going to say again, huge congratulations on Hell of a Summer. Have a blast celebrating it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Perri.
Thanks, Perri.
Seriously,
Good
for
to see you.